Imagine you are standing on the shore of this, like, massive pitch black ocean.
Okay.
You've got a single fishing pole in your hands. Now, you know for a fact there is a very specific type of fish out there in that water.
Right. The exact fish you want.
Exactly. And that fish wants exactly the kind of bait you've got on your hook. So do you just close your eyes, cast your line randomly out into the open water, and just kind of hope for the best?
I mean, a lot of people do.
Right. Or do you figure out exactly which hidden cove those specific fish swim in and just walk over there?
Yeah, it sounds obvious when you put it like that. But most sales leaders and executives, they are out there right now, just freezing on that beach, casting blindly into the dark.
Oh, completely.
They're burning through their budget, they're exhausting their sales teams,
Yeah.
and they justify the sheer inefficiency of it all by calling it, brand awareness.
Right, or building the top of the funnel.
Exactly,
Yeah.
building the funnel.
It is the ultimate spray and pray approach to growth. And honestly, it is destroying sales pipelines across almost every industry right now. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Correct.
Because a recent piece of writing really caught my eye, and it fundamentally challenges this whole instinct. It's an article titled Addressability, Know Where to Fish by Wyn Nathan Davis.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, and it was published by the Sales Experts.
Yeah.
So today, our mission on this deep dive is to explore this core concept of addressability.
Which sounds like just another business buzzword, honestly.
It really does, but it's actually this ruthless, highly engineered lens through which we need to view our finite resources.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to figure out why that urge to just market to the world is a massive trap, and how shifting to a mindset of, like, microscopic precision changes everything.
What's fascinating here is that this isn't just a minor tweak. It's not like a new email sequence or some clever cold calling script.
Right.
We are looking at a fundamental shift in how businesses actually operate. It requires an entire change in your worldview.
How so?
Well, you have to move away from that intoxicating idea of infinite possibility. The idea that anyone could be your customer.
Oh, yeah, the whole everyone with a pulse is a lead mentality.
Exactly. You have to actively choose to shrink your worldview to focus only on the targets you can actually win. It's about engineered precision.
Okay, so let's define the mechanics of that. Because before we can fix a broken sales strategy, we need to know what addressable actually means in the real world.
Right.
And the source defines it as a literal measure. It's the measure of how easy or how difficult it is to get in touch with your target customers.
And there are specific criteria for that.
Yeah, 3 specific criteria that make up a highly addressable market. You have to be able to reach them directly, quickly, and cost-effectively.
Direct, quick, and cost-effective. You could really think of those 3 elements as like the golden triangle of pipeline velocity.
It's a golden triangle. I like that.
Yeah, because if a market meets those criteria, your cost of acquiring a customer just plummets. And actually making the sale becomes a matter of execution, not just luck.
That makes sense.
But if a market is missing, even one of those elements, say, you can reach them directly and quickly, but it costs an absolute fortune in advertising to do it.
Right, then it's not highly addressable.
Exactly. And your margins are going to suffer big time.
Well, Wyn Nathan Davis actually grounds this in a historical example from his own career, which I think illustrates the mechanics perfectly.
Oh, the stationery example.
Yes. For years, he sold wholesale stationery, office products, artist materials, and he sold them worldwide.
Which sounds terrifying.
Right. When I hear worldwide market, my brain immediately jumps to this massive, unmanageable, wildly expensive marketing effort. Like, how do you even begin to wrap your arms around the entire globe?
You usually don't.
But he notes that this specific market, despite being global, was actually highly addressable. He knew exactly who the customers were, where to find them, and how to reach them.
And the secret there was the trade associations.
Exactly. The mechanism that made it possible was that the buyers all belonged to specific trade associations.
Trade associations are literally the perfect example of a pre-existing structural filter.
Right.
What an association basically does is take this massive, chaotic global market and organize it for you.
Yeah, they do the work.
They publish the directories, they host the annual conferences, they maintain the membership lists. I mean, he didn't have to spend a single dime trying to sift through the general population to figure out if someone was a qualified buyer.
Because the association had already done all that expensive heavy lifting.
Exactly. They grouped all the highly qualified buyers into one easily accessible room, basically.
So because he had that complete pre-filtered target list available, doing general advertising wouldn't just be unnecessary. It would have been a catastrophic waste of money.
Right. Focused awareness campaigns and direct selling were literally all he needed.
It makes me think about this stadium analogy. So imagine you're a sales leader, right? And you're trying to sell a very specific high margin product. Let's say a specialized left-handed baseball glove.
Okay, very niche.
Very niche. And you're standing in a massive crowded sports stadium with like 100,000 people.
Right.
Poor addressability is buying a giant megaphone and shouting your pitch to the entire stadium, just hoping the 5 left-handed people who actually need a glove hear you over all the noise.
Which is going to annoy about 99,000 people.
Exactly. It costs a lot of energy, it annoys everyone who doesn't care, and your success rate relies entirely on the chance that those 5 specific people were paying attention at that exact second.
And honestly, that is how most digital advertising operates today.
Yeah.
You're paying for the volume of the megaphone, not the actual conversion of the target.
Exactly. Whereas high addressability is walking into that same stadium, but you have the direct cell phone numbers of those exact 5 left-handed players who want to buy a glove right now.
So you just leave the megaphone at home.
Right. You just send 5 text messages. But let me pose a dilemma here, because I think a lot of businesses get tripped up on this today. Are sales leaders confusing the massive reach we get on the internet with actual addressability? Because online with LinkedIn and, global databases, we feel like we have the megaphone to reach billions of people instantly.
Yeah, we feel like everyone is addressable.
Exactly.
But that is the most dangerous solution in modern business.
Wow. Dangerous how?
Well, the internet gives us the feeling of infinite reach. But reach is just a vanity metric. True addressability, as the text really emphasizes, is strictly about cost-effective, direct connection that yields a result.
Right.
Just because you can technically show a Facebook ad to 1 million people does not mean that market is addressable for your specific sales team.
Reach is sanity, addressability is revenue.
Exactly. And that's why the where-to-fish metaphor works so perfectly. When professional fishes, they don't just drop a line into a random empty stretch of the ocean because the water looks pretty.
Right, they study it.
They study the topography, they look for the reef, they look for the temperature drop-off, they drop their bait exactly where the specific fish they want are already schooling.
So let's take that concept and apply it to a hyper-local, completely saturated market. Because the source material pivots from this global stationary network down to the logistics of selling or renting table linens to restaurants in London.
Oh, this is a great example.
Right, it grounds the concept beautifully.
Because London restaurants represent this notoriously cutthroat environment. Margins are razor thin, turnover is super high, and every vendor in the city is constantly knocking on their doors.
Which means broad marketing, like taking out a billboard in Piccadilly Circus or running a generic digital ad targeted at anyone who lives in a certain postcode that's going to have zero impact.
It's the megaphone in the stadium again.
Exactly. Instead, the author lays out this step-by-step microscopic strategy.
Right.
Step 1. Identify the restaurants that are actually most likely to purchase. So don't just pull a list of every food establishment. Find the ones that fit your specific linen quality. Step 2. Organize them. And the text specifies organizing them by area, size, and style.
And the mechanics of that organization step, that's what makes the strategy viable.
Right.
By grouping them by geographic area, you are optimizing for physical logistics. Your delivery trucks and your sales reps are maximizing their time. They aren't driving all the way across the city for one single meeting.
Yeah, the efficiency is built in.
And then by segmenting by size and style, you're tailoring the exact pitch they need to hear. I mean, you don't pitch luxury, heavy thread count tablecloths to a high turnover casual diner.
No, you'd be laughed out of the room.
Exactly. You are moving from a broad scattergun approach to sniper-like precision.
So then comes step 3, which is launch a direct sales campaign to that hyper-segmented list. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The source explicitly lists the tactics for this campaign. Introduction letters, emails, phone calls, and in-person visits.
In-person visits, right.
But hold on, visiting restaurants in person. Writing physical letters. In an era of like AI tools and automated email funnels, that sounds incredibly slow, unscalable, and super expensive.
It does.
So how does the math on that actually work for a modern sales team?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the math works specifically because it is unscalable and expensive for the average competitor to do.
Oh, wow.
Right. When you have correctly identified a highly addressable market, meaning, with absolute certainty that these 50 restaurants need your exact linens, you no longer need to rely on low-cost automated mass marketing.
Because you know they're the right targets.
Exactly. You can afford to invest the higher cost and the higher effort of an in-person visit or a customized physical letter because the probability of conversion is exponentially higher.
That makes total sense.
Those high-touch methods cut through the digital noise precisely because no one else is doing them anymore.
Everyone else is just sending automated spam.
Yeah. But, and this is key, you can only afford to deploy that high-touch strategy if your list is rigorously accurate. Your list is wrong, physical visits will literally bankrupt you.
That reframes the entire effort. You aren't trying to visit 10,000 restaurants in person. You are systematically visiting the 50 that are perfectly matched to your product, clustered in one specific neighborhood.
Exactly. And the text points out the ultimate goal of this focused effort. It creates a repeatable sales funnel.
A machine.
A machine. A system that cycles consistently, ensuring that every single target prospect on that curated list eventually gets the chance to convert.
I mean, the psychological relief of that for a sales director must be massive. You aren't waking up at the end of the month in a panic, just wondering where your leads are going to magically appear from.
It replaces the sheer terror of constantly trying to find new markets with the calm, systematic conquest of the market you already know exists.
Yes.
And the author actually highlights this as a fatal error that derails so many businesses. They overlook the obvious, highly addressable opportunity right in front of them. And instead, they scatter their finite budget chasing new or broader demographics long before they have actually saturated their primary core.
It's the equivalent of leaving the cove where the fish are practically jumping into the boat just to go explore the empty ocean because you got bored.
Exactly.
Now, the author brings up this totally unexpected parallel here to explain who we should be talking to within those coves. And just to be clear up front, we are not taking any political sides here.
Right. Strictly looking at the strategy.
Strictly mechanics. But regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, you have to admit that campaign strategists are absolute masters of ruthless resource allocation.
Oh, undoubtedly.
The text argues that political parties actually understand addressability significantly better than most corporate businesses do.
They kind of have to. I mean, the constraints on a political campaign are absolute. You only have a set number of days until the vote, and you only have the cash currently sitting in the campaign fund.
Right.
There is no tomorrow, and there's no extending the runway.
And because of those constraints, political parties never try to win over everyone. It's a complete waste of their time to even attempt it. Instead, the source notes they focus exclusively on just two segments of the population. First, the loyal voters, their base. Second, the persuadable voters, the swing group. And that is it.
That's it.
Every single campaign message, every television ad, every door knocked is crafted to resonate exclusively with those two segments.
It is the ultimate exercise in drawing a boundary around your addressable market and just ignoring the noise outside of it.
So what does this all mean for, like, a hiring manager or a sales executive?
Right.
Let me test that logic because it feels kind of counterintuitive to how we're taught to grow businesses.
Look,
If we tell a company to only focus on their absolute base and the swing customers, aren't they leaving money on the table? Aren't they ignoring a massive chunk of the market, the unpersuadable group that might eventually buy from them if they just marketed hard enough?
that fear of leaving money on the table is exactly what drives businesses back to broad, ineffective marketing. Yeah. But let's look at the underlying math of the political analogy. Spending a single dollar trying to convince someone who is fundamentally opposed to your platform. The unpersuadable voter is not just a waste. It is a negative return on investment.
Oh, because of the opportunity cost?
Exactly. It is a dollar you actively chose not to spend turning out your loyal base or swaying someone who was actually on the fence.
Right.
In the business world, the unpersuadable market are the customers who are, locked into long-term contracts with your competitors, or they fundamentally don't value your premium features, or they operate outside your logistical delivery zones.
So the cost of acquiring them would just destroy your profit margins anyway.
Precisely. The core lesson from politics is having the strategic courage to actively ignore the non-addressable market.
Strategic courage.
Yeah, it requires discipline to look at 80% of a crowd and say, we are not going to talk to you.
Wow.
But you have to ignore the people who are never going to buy from you so that you can take all of those saved resources and fully, completely saturate your addressable market.
Because when businesses try to talk to everyone just to avoid feeling like they're missing out, their message becomes so watered down.
It becomes generic. It loses all its impact.
Yeah. Your sales message needs to be crafted specifically for your loyal customers and your persuadable prospects. Forget the rest until you've maximized that core group.
Exactly.
I just love that phrase. The strategic courage to actively ignore, it clarifies everything, and the author provides a really practical way to audit yourself on this.
The 3 questions.
Yeah, the text gives 3 diagnostic questions to sharpen your sales process and keep your team focused. Number 1, is my target market clear and well-defined? Number 2, can I create a specific list of prospects I can sell to directly? And number 3, am I spending resources on broad marketing when direct selling would yield a better return on investment?
Those are fantastic grounding questions. They force a level of honesty that, honestly, most sales meetings completely lack.
So true.
And I particularly want to emphasize that second one.
Can I create a specific list?
Yes.
I want you, listening to this deep dive right now, to think about your own sales pipeline or your team's growth strategy. If you cannot sit down right now and generate a specific physical list of prospects that you intend to sell to direct, like if you're just relying on SEO magic or broad social media ads to eventually bring people to your inbox.
Are you actually doing sales?
Exactly. Are you doing sales, or are you just hoping for happy accidents?
This raises an important question about how we apply this concept internally, too.
Oh, right.
Because we have spent this entire time solving how to target the customer externally.
Right.
But the source material forces us to turn this diagnostic inward, particularly for executives and hiring managers.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Well, if this is how we should be finding customers, what happens when we need to find the internal talent required to actually execute this direct, highly addressable strategy?
Ah, the hiring side. The text actually draws a very direct parallel to recruitment here. It states, want to hire. Define the role, success profile, and hiring strategy needed to secure the top 1% of sales talent before committing to a search.
Think about the hypocrisy of how most companies operate.
Mm-hmm.
If you agree that broad, generic marketing to customers is a catastrophic waste of money, why on earth would you use broad, generic marketing to find your most critical, revenue-generating employees?
Wow, that's a great point.
Applying the concept of addressability to recruitment means you absolutely cannot just toss a generic job description onto a massive internet job board and wait to see who clicks apply.
Because throwing a post on a job board is picking up the stadium megaphone again.
Exactly.
You're just shouting, we need a salesperson to the entire world, and the top 1% aren't listening to the megaphone.
They aren't listening because they're already employed and they're succeeding somewhere else.
Right.
If you want the elite talent, the kind of professionals who actually know how to build a targeted list and execute the high-touch in-person visits and strategic outreach we talked about, you have to hunt them exactly the way they hunt clients.
So you must build a highly targeted, specific success profile.
Yes.
But what does that actually look like in practice? Because it's not just writing needs 5 years of experience on a piece of paper.
No, not at all. A true success profile is like a psychological and historical map of your ideal candidate.
Okay.
You figure out exactly where those elite performers are currently working. You identify what specific industry associations they belong to. You understand the specific procurement cycles they are used to navigating.
And you define all of this before you ever commit to the search.
Exactly. That way, your recruitment effort is direct, quick, and cost-effective. You aren't sifting through 1,000 unqualified resumes. You are directly calling the desks of the 5 people in your city who fit the profile perfectly.
You target the talent market with the exact same ruthless precision you use on your primary customer market.
It's addressability all the way down.
From the customers you sell to right down to the people you hire to do the selling, it requires a complete shift in operational mindset from passive gathering to active targeted hunting.
Absolutely.
Let's look back at the map of what we've covered today. We started by defining the golden triangle of addressability: direct, quick, and cost-effective, using the global wholesale stationery market to prove that even worldwide networks can be highly addressable if you utilize the right filters, like trade associations.
Then we zoomed in on the hyper-local logistics of London table linens.
Right.
We saw how segmenting a market by area, size, and style allows you to deploy a repeatable, high-touch sales funnel using letters and physical visits that beats out broad advertising every single time because the conversion rate justifies the effort.
We took a fascinating detour into the political playbook, too. Learning the undeniable ROI of ignoring the unpersuadable market to focus all our firepower on the loyal base and the persuadable swing voters.
Mm.
And finally, we turn the mirror on our own internal operations, realizing that to hire the top 1% of sales talent, we have to treat recruitment with the same microscopic, targeted precision we use on our clients.
The author leaves us with 3 final, vital questions to anchor this philosophy. Who is your audience? Where do they spend their time? And how can you connect with them most effectively?
Those answers really are the bedrock of any successful pipeline.
They are. And as the text notes, relentlessly pursuing those answers is what ensures your business stays on purpose, targets the right prospects, and keeps your sales ecosystem full of truly qualified opportunities rather than just expensive noise. And honestly, if you're looking to implement this kind of precision to achieve real sales success, you should definitely check out more insights at thesalesexperts.com.
For sure. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative thought to mull over. We've spent this entire time talking about how you can wield the concept of addressability to find your customers and secure your top talent. But I want you to consider the exact reverse.
Oh, this is good.
How addressable are you? Think about the bloat in your own organization right now. The software tools currently draining your budget that nobody uses. Or the expensive consultants you brought in who didn't actually move the needle. Or the bad operational habits your team has fallen into.
Yeah.
Are you highly addressable to those distractions? Are you currently the persuadable swing voter sitting in someone else's repeatable sales funnel, being sold solutions you don't actually need simply because they figured out how to target your insecurities perfectly?
Wow.
It's worth auditing your own operations to figure out if you're the one holding the fishing pole or if you're just the fish swimming right into the trap.
It is a sobering thought, but an absolutely necessary diagnostic for any leader who wants to protect their resources.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. Keep asking those hard questions, figure out exactly where your true target market is swimming, and we will catch you next time.